Hey there, so I'm going to go over self-myofascial release. Now, there are multiple ways to do this, and really this is going to help you in a number of ways, okay? This will help to relieve bound fascia under the skin. It's also going to help you with knotted and tense muscles in a way that stretching can't accomplish, okay? So there are several tools that I use for this. This is a foam roller. You may or may not have used one or seen one in the past. I also like to use these two things. This is called an orb. I love this tool because of the size of it, and it's got some fairly aggressive knobbies on it, and also a lacrosse ball. All good tools that you can use. There are multiple different types of these tools around. The principles, I think, are pretty much the same from tool to tool, but I'm going to go over these things briefly, and the foam roller with some detail, okay? So the foam roller, you can use a couple of ways, all right? The foam roller can be used longitudinally on muscles pretty much anywhere. Mostly in the extremities is where I like to use it. But you can roll the long way for your muscles on the foam roller, or you can do a cross fiber roll where you take your extremity and roll across the fiber of the muscles to help separate them, okay? So there's just a few principles that you need to think about when you're using these tools. A little bit of safety that you want to be aware of. Like when you're using the foam roller, don't roll over joints. That's something you want to avoid, and try to be careful of areas where there are major congregations of like nerves and blood vessels, like in the upper inner portion of your thigh, up near your groin, inside your armpit, are places where you want to avoid putting a ton of pressure. And I typically avoid using the foam roller on your back. There are some schools of thought that say, yes, that's okay, and some people will do it. I try to avoid using the broad foam roller on my back simply because I've had situations where I have had issues with like some slippage in the spine a little bit and needing to like see the chiropractor after. That's not probably true across the board, but I tend to think that some of the smaller implements like the orb and the lacrosse ball work better for treating areas of your back. So that's how I'm gonna teach you. So with the foam roller, you simply need to put the extremity on the foam roller that you want to work on, all right, and provide some pressure. You can do that in a number of ways. So multiple extremities on the foam roller at the same time will provide less pressure because you have more surface area on the foam roller. So if I put both of my calves on the foam roller and I lift my butt up, I don't have as much pressure as if I put one calf, cross my legs, and pick my butt up, okay? So there is that, okay? Pressure is something that you can adjust. If you need less pressure, you can always put the other extremity on the ground, so you have three extremities on the ground, and you have more control over the amount of pressure that you put on the foam roller. If you're not used to foam rolling and your muscles are really, really tight, this can be really sore, and so you want to be careful, especially starting out, that you don't, really catch yourself off guard and go, too deep all at once and, hurt yourself. It doesn't feel good. So I've had a lot of practice at this, so this is the way I prefer to do it. I cross my legs, I have one calf on the foam roller, and I lift my butt up off the ground, and then just roll back and forth, and you'll notice that I turn my leg so I can get as much surface area on the muscle as I can, okay? And then when I'm done rolling that particular area, I'll move the foam roller up a little bit and repeat a little higher up on the calf, okay? As you get used to this, it gets easier. At first, it will take some practice. But you can see if I needed less pressure, I could do this, or I could even do this. Okay, so that's an example of longitudinally rolling the calves. Now, cross fiber rolling on the calves would just occur like this. You set the foam roller under the point that you want to roll on, provide some downward pressure from your other leg, and just roll side to side. Okay, when you're done, move it up, roll side to side, okay? If while you're rolling, either longitudinally or cross fiber, you feel like, oh man, I just found a knot, which I actually just did, legitimately, you can start to position yourself, roll up onto it slowly, and get right there. Get right on the point of that knot, and just hang out there, all right? Provide pressure, and hold it. And after 20 or 30 seconds, you should start to feel that loosen up. If it doesn't want to loosen up, the other option that you have is to move the joint below it through range of motion, okay? To help break that up, because sometimes there are adhesions under the skin, meaning the fascia that binds the muscle together can get stuck to the skin. So sometimes it's an adhesion and you can break it up. And this is feeling better. So I go back to my rolling back and forth, feels good, move it up, and so on and so forth, all the way up until you get to the knee. Avoid the back of the knee, like anything around the joint you want to avoid, okay? So to do hamstrings, same thing. Put the foam roller under the back of the legs. Turn a little bit to get muscle in different ways. If you need more pressure, take one leg off, cross it over on the other side, and just move through. And here, I can do cross fiber, just like this, all the way up to the glute, all right? Doing the glute, all right? You want to sit cockeyed on the foam roller. If you try to sit straight up on the foam roller and roll, you're going to roll over your sacrum and it's not going to feel good, okay? It's not uncomfortable to sit here like this. It feels just like I'm sitting on a chair. But if I want to roll up my glute and work that glute, I need to get off to the side a little bit so that I can get that muscle. And from here, I can roll just the same way as I was. I'm just rolling with my body a little bit at an angle to follow the curve of the glute up rather than rolling straight up over the sacrum, okay? So that's your glute. How do you roll the front of your legs, the sides of your legs, the inside of your legs? Well, a little bit of practice. The easiest way I think to start is to get on all fours and have the foam roller here. I like to, this is a long foam roller, so I like to push it off to the side so I have clearance. And from here, I'm just gonna position my leg on the foam roller where I want it. And I use my other leg over here for stability and just lift myself up and roll back and forth. Just like this, all right? If I want to do cross fiber, there's no real difference in the way you accomplish it. You just move that leg up and down the foam roller and rotate the bone and the muscle over the foam roller. Work on spreading those things apart. All right, as you get better and stronger, you can lift this leg right up off the floor for more pressure. And just work back and forth, okay? So the IT band, right? You're gonna have to be a little bit on your side to get this area. And now when we're rolling the IT band, we're not actually changing the IT band. The IT band is very powerful connective tissue and attaches directly to your bone all the way up, attaches to connective tissue in your knee and in your hip, and all of your muscles attach into it. So you're not going to change that per se, but what you are going to do is you're going to work on all those insertion points where those muscles attach into your IT band, okay? And so from here, you can do the same thing being on all fours, all right? And I like to turn to the side and get the side of my leg on the foam roller, and then my opposite foot in front for balance, okay? When you get competent and good at this, you can get up like this, and it's no problem. For now, use this leg for balance and to help you get some weight off if you find some really tight spots. And then from here, just roll back and forth, okay? Adjust your position so you can get on all aspects of that muscle, okay? Cross fiber looks like this. Remember, if you find a place that's really tight, right there for me, just hang out, okay? You can hang out right there, and you can move that leg through a range of motion at the knee joint until that spot loosens up, all right? Then you can go back to rolling, all right? Good. To roll the inside of your legs a little more tricky. You can do it. It takes practice, so don't get frustrated if you can't do it right away. You may have to work up to it, but you can get so that you're here on the foam roller, rolling your quad, and then you have to let the hip rotate out so that you can get in there. All right? All right, that's legs. The other thing that we can roll is lats, all right? Your lat is down through here. You can access it right here, all right? And it will help to release that muscle from the side. All right, you want to do this from a sideline position. Remember, we don't want to go up into the armpit. We want to stop just below it. But you're gonna lay out on your side on the foam roller with your arm extended, right? Now, if you lean too far forward, you're gonna be on your ribs, and you don't want that. It'll be uncomfortable. If you lean too far back, you're gonna get on your scapula, which is that chicken wing bone in the back. You don't want to do that because that's going to be uncomfortable. You want to get right in the middle where you can feel the belly of that muscle, and then just roll back and forth. Okay? That's how you get your lats. All right, a couple of these other tools. The orb and the lacrosse ball. The lacrosse ball is pretty hard, right? The orb is also very dense and firm, but the difference is their size. Okay, the lacrosse ball is smaller, so you can get into smaller, more pointed areas easier than the orb. But in either case, you can use these to pin a body part, or pin between a body part and the wall. So let's say I wanted to work on my glute. I can position the orb on that spot that I want, and I can put it against the wall, and I can just shift my weight back and forth and roll on that. You can do this on the floor too. I find that sometimes you have more control when you're using a wall, but whatever works for you, all right? And you just move around. I find that these are really good to get into places on your back. All right, so you're not putting this over your spinous processes. You can get it directly over the muscle. So if I want to work, if my lower traps or my back muscles are bothering me right here, I can just isolate that and pin that ball between that spot and the wall, and I can just work on it, okay? And I can get right where I need to and deal with that problem. Lacrosse ball is good for smaller places and for feet. I like to use the lacrosse ball on my feet. You can roll back and forth on it, or you can roll front to back on it, all right, and work on anything that is stiff and sore. You see I'm doing a circular motion here. Feels really good. You can also use the lacrosse ball to get into places almost like hand massage, where if I want to work on this spot right here, I can take the lacrosse ball and I can put it down, and I can use it with my body weight to work on some of these areas that aren't so easy to work on otherwise. So that's self-myofascial release, very basic, but practice. Again, make sure you're regulating your weight. Make sure you roll slow. It doesn't do you any good to roll really fast, all right? Roll slow. When you find tight areas, hang out on those areas, isolate them, get a little bit of cross fiber on that area, put some extended pressure on that area, and then you can put your joint below that spot through range of motion at the same time to help loosen those areas up. All right, hope this is helpful. I hope you find it useful, and happy rolling.